in the Bangalore Atheists studio today, we have Chandrasekhar R, a very popular YouTuber who has more than 80,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, Lucy Malayalam. Chandrasekhar, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. My name is Ambar, and I represent Bangalore Atheists. We are a meetup group connecting atheists and freethinkers across Bangalore.
Thank you, Ambar, and a very good evening for you and also for all the viewers. And thank you for inviting me into your channel and your presentation. Thank you very much.
Most people know you as a very popular YouTuber. You have more than 80,000 followers for your popular science YouTube channel, Lucy Malayalam. So, how did you get into this line?
I don't know whether I can be called a popular YouTuber because I just have around 80,000 subscribers, which is nothing when you consider if you look at most of the popular pseudoscience people who propagate pseudoscience, they have around 1 million easily. So I don't know whether it is right to call me a popular YouTuber. Anyway, I have around 80,000 subscribers, and like on a regular basis, I put video. So there are people who are really interested in science and people who are interested in creating scientific temper and all. So those people, around 10,000 people watch my almost all the videos. Some of them are really popular among people like certain kind of videos, but most of my videos are not like that. Like I'll be criticizing someone or maybe explaining some serious science. So every video is not a super hit, but kind of okay. So coming to your question, like how did I come into YouTubing? As I was actually mostly what I do is I do training for people. I'm a sound engineer by profession. So like during the COVID time, 2018, 2019 time, I was stuck in my home like everyone else. Everyone was stuck in their own home because of the lockdown. You cannot move to a different place, and all the training, all the classes were happening from my home, like online. So I thought like anyway I have some spare time. So like even before that also I used to do presentations on things like scientific propagating scientific temper, and I was really interested in astronomy. So I used to take classes for people about stars and how the planetary system forms, and the difference between astrology and astronomy and all. And just before the COVID pandemic, one more thing happened. Like a very close friend of mine died because he chose a pseudo-scientific kind of treatment over proper modern medical treatment. And the most important thing is that his son joined MBBS. He was just into his first year when this happened. So even he was not even his son was not very informed about what is a pseudoscientific practice and what is proper scientific practice. And he just died because he was not given proper treatment. Uh, that is the only reason why he is not here right now. So I thought like, okay, it's high time. Like I knew because I come from a background like my father is an engineer, my grandfather is a doctor. So Ayurveda, homeopathy, all these pseudo things, it's out of the equation, my hope. So I never had a taste of it. But the thing is that people like I came to know that like it is very popular among most of the people, and people they really is not worried about the evidence and all. They just go for some kind of treatment because it is offered by even it is even popularized by government. uh, so so I thought, okay, why don't we start educating people using a small YouTube channel, what is medicine, what is not. And that is how I did my first video, and then it became a regular thing, and I started doing it. That's it.
Does one need to be a qualified scientist in order to be a science popularizer, or that is not strictly necessary? Like, do you need to have a PhD in a scientific discipline, or you just need to have knowledge and curiosity and the desire to share?
Okay, so that's a very important question, and this question keeps popping again and again, especially in my YouTube channel. People want to know what my qualification is, why I am telling all these things. The most important thing is that when you say science communicator, there are two words: science and communication. You all learn science. Basic science is more than enough to just debunk all the crap that is happening. Uh, like when you look at the internet, all these things are like basic science. Like up to 10 standard science is more than enough to debunk all these things. You don't need a PhD in a particular special in a particular discipline. That is not a must. But being a communicator is actually a very difficult job. Like you have to be very careful when you are communicating. You have to make sure that whatever you are telling to your audience is factual, and for that you have to make sure that you give proper reference in the description. So what I do is, if I debunk something or if I am explaining something, what I do is I consult with the proper like the experts. That is a thing that I do almost on all videos. So if it is a microbiology thing, I'll consult. Like we have a group of scientists, like who are very close friends of mine, and those are the people who actually support Lucy. So what I do is that I consult them. I ask them for like proper papers. I highlight them. I put the links on the description so anybody can go and check that. So that is what, like, see, I don't want people to keep watching my channel like for the next 2 decades. No, that is not my idea. I don't want to make money out of YouTube. The idea is to just inculcate scientific temper in people's mind, and they need to understand how to go and fact check themselves, not by looking after Lucy. Like, so many people will comment on under the videos that like, I would like Lucy to debunk this thing. No, that is not what I am asking people to do. What I am advising people to do, what I am asking people to do is to like find a way, like understand how this is being debunked. And the next time if you come across a pseudoscience or anything like that, you have to do the same thing. You don't have to depend on anything else. Don't take it because I am telling you this. You have to go through the proper links, go through the papers, find out whether it is true or not. And that is what we want to like. That is what I'm expecting from my audience. Like probably within 2 or 3 years, what I expect from audience is to like the views should come down. Simply showing that like, okay, all my audience who have already subscribed is now they know how to handle all the pseudoscience stuff that is happening around.
As a follow-up to that, my next question is that given the very poor state of scientific literacy in India, are science popularizers or science communicators doing a greater, perhaps doing a greater service to society than scientists themselves? Do you feel it is that way?
Uh, if you say like you have a scientist, uh, he is a postgraduate in a particular discipline, he has done a PhD in that, so his knowledge base is too big. Okay, so he doesn't like, he need not resonate with the frequency of the audience. They might not have a PhD in that subject. And what these people do, like what the scientists do, they teach people who are like at least like people who at least have a postgraduate degree in that particular discipline. So they always pre-assume that they have a, like all the audience, they have a particular kind of knowledge. But like what I am doing is like I go to the basics. I consider it like, if I'm teaching to an LKG student, how will I tell them? That is the kind of mindset that is going to happen. Like I just make 10 or maximum 15 minutes video. Within that time, like my goal is to simplify it to a level without losing, without not losing too much of that quality element. That is what I'm trying to do. But scientists, they have research to do. Their job is not to teach people. Their job is to do their business, come up with new innovations, new discoveries, and publish it so that people like us can go and refer to their work and understand that. So they might not have that much time. Even like people, like if you go through the YouTube, you can see hundreds of people who are homeopaths doing videos on YouTube because they have a lot of spare time. They don't have to do any research and all. But modern medical doctors, like I have a friend who recently told me that like he's a PG and he attends around 500 OPs every day. He's just doing post graduation in modern medicine, and he has to attend around 500 people every day on on a regular basis. So that is the case. So they don't have any spare time. They don't have time to educate people, and naturally they will get irritated if you ask them, like after the 500 patient going and asking the same idiotic question again and again. Naturally he will get irritated. So and there is one more thing, like if a modern medical doctor is telling that okay, this medicine is good for this stuff, what they will tell you is that you are part of a mafia, a modern medical mafia, or a you're part of a drug mafia, and you are getting commission and cuts out of it. But when normal people, like I'm a common man, and when I tell them, they still accuse me of this. But the thing is that, like, if I can understand, there is no problem that anyone, anybody who is viewing my channel will also understand. That is the basic idea behind my channel.
Isn't there a trade-off between simplifying a topic and faithfully representing the idea or the content? Where do you draw the line between simplifying and oversimplifying?
Whenever I do video, I make sure that I simplify enough for it to be palatable to the regular audience. But at the same time, I make sure that the totality, the whatever thing I'm going to say to them is not lost. That's why, like for experts or for people who can read and understand the literature, I even provide the links so they can go and refer to that. The problematic thing is that, like, whenever you use analogies, you have to be very careful. You might be using an analogy just to explain a particular thing, and people might get too obsessed with that analogy and they might stick with it. That is very dangerous. So when you say, like, oh, okay, I'm giving you an analogy, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, like, you have to tell the audience that it is just an analogy for you to understand this particular concept, not the entire thing. So that part is very important. Otherwise, like, people get too carried away with the analogy, and sometimes they might run into confusion. So you have to be very careful. Like, as you said, you have to that there is a very thin line between these things. Sometimes they might think that it's too simple. Sometimes they will think it is too complicated. If people think it is too complicated, they won't even listen to the video. So, like there are a lot of English channels like Vsauce and like a lot of channels like three brown one blue, a lot of channels who actually give really complicated stuff in a very comprehensive and at the same time very simple way. So that is the whole idea of Lucy.
It seems by looking at the content on social media and YouTube in particular that vernacular content is growing faster than English content, at least in India. You yourself are evidently very fluent in English, but you choose to present your videos in Malayalam. So, what is the reason for the popularity, the growing popularity of vernacular content? What could be a reason for it? And in your opinion, is this a good trend?
My idea when I started doing YouTube was, like, I had a dilemma whether I have to do it in English or in Malayalam. But the problem is, like, there are a lot of content in English which is already available in YouTube. Like, if you like, there are a lot of creators all around the world that are creating science-based stuff, and they have a very good viewer database also. But why is it not happening? Why is it not changing the society, as at least in India? So when I ask this question, like, okay, we have different languages in India, and we need to specialize on a small niche. First, we have to like, make that society better, and we actually know the pulse better, because, like, I stay in Kerala, so I know like how Malayalis think. Okay, so that is the most important thing. So I thought, like, okay, I have to reach every person before I venture into new territory. So that is why I started doing in Malayalam. So what I think is that if you're doing something in your vernacular language, or if you are doing something in your native tongue, the good thing is that you know the pulse, you know what is happening around, and it's easy for you to communicate to the people around you much faster than if you're doing it in English. If I'm doing it in English, the same thing will be watched by people around the globe. But the thing is that, like, even, like, you take from south to north, just take India. Like, even the accent of English is very different. Like, people from south, if they speak, you have a particular kind of accent, and if you move to the north, you can see another dialect of English. So it's not easy. Like, even if you keep a neutral accent and all, it's very difficult to reach everyone. and it's very difficult to connect with people. So what I do is, like, through my YouTube, what I want, like, I'm looking at the camera and speaking, and I directly want to connect with the people, and like I want to be part of their family, to say, okay, this is what I'm telling, listen carefully. I'm telling you because I really enjoy speaking to you, and there should be a direct connection. That is what I think. Like,
So, like you mentioned earlier at the start, you and many others like yourself are doing a great job debunking a lot of superstitious and pseudoscientific ideas. And some of you have tens of thousands of followers on YouTube. But on the other hand, if I look at the YouTube channel of someone like Sadhguru, who is a known promoter of all kinds of pseudoscience, he has a following of maybe 10 million. So, so in that case, which is growing faster in India, science or pseudoscience?
okay, that's a very interesting question. And what I have to tell you is that, like, what I think is, like, I'm not sure. I don't have any data to present, but um, like, there is a polarization happening. Some people, like, we have like, if you consider your brain, you have a hardwiring to believe in all those things, and that is what Sadhguru is doing. Like, he's capitalizing on that pattern recognition area of your brain, and he can easily captivate interest of even scientists, and people who we say as scientists, like, most of them are technicians. People don't even understand the difference between science and technology. Like, when you think about a scientist, you always talk about people in ISRO, and most of them are engineers, and engineers are actually technicians. And these people make use of science to launch a particular rocket. That's it. They are technicians. Like, people who are scientists, they discover things, and discovering things takes that is a different league altogether. And people point at engineers and say that, okay, see, you're not a scientist. By, like, people point at me and say that you're not a scientist, but he's a very prominent scientist from ISRO, and he's listening to Sadhguru and saying that he's perfectly all right. And people at Harvard are also listening to Sadhguru. They also say that Sadhguru, whatever he's saying, is that absolutely right. Why are you getting irritated when you see Sadhguru speaking? The thing is that, like, these people don't know the difference between science and technology, or the the importance of scientific temper, how to do critical thinking, and how to do inquiring, how to inquire about all these things, and and to systematically debunk all these things. They have all learned science in school. They have all learned science, at least most of them have learned science at least in their plus twos, but still they don't know how to debunk that, and that is done just for passing the examination. They don't take it seriously. That is the biggest issue. And so channels like these are growing. Like, if I say meditation is really good, and that is going to create a particular kind of vibration, some kind of resonance inside you, that is like, good enough for most people to fall into these kind of traps. And that is what I think. That's why these kind of channels grow at much higher rate than people who talk about science. And talking about science is not a big deal. Like, there are so many people who talk about science, but talking about science and at the same time telling that these things are, like, idiotic, that you have to have that kind of guts to say that, okay, this thing is wrong. Like, he might be a very prominent person, but what he's saying is wrong. Evidence doesn't point in that direction. You have to tell that honestly, and that is not very easy. And you might get so many threats also. Like, see, look at the kind of endorsement that I get. Like, you might not even have seen a single one in my channel, not because people are not approaching me. They come up with things that I always debunk. Like, people come up with Ayurveda legumes, or some kind of oils that, like, they want me to promote in my channel, because they know that if I am going to promote these kind of things in my channel, people will take it, like, because, like, I talk about science a lot. So they want some kind of scientific grounding for their product, and that's where they are approaching. So what I can tell them is, just go. No, I'm not. My channel is not the right channel for you, and that's why I don't have any endorsement. If you can see my channel, and most of the videos that you see in my YouTube channel is not actually monetized, because it's often turned off automatically by the YouTube, because they will say that that doesn't agree with their YouTube policies. So that is what is happening. So there's a huge polarization happening, and it's easy to grow a channel, like if you are talking about pseudoscience and all, and it is very hard to do like a proper job of promoting science, especially like if you are really into science and if you really want to promote science, that is a very difficult job.
Most people in India who have gone through school and college have had minimum 10 years of science education. But you find that by the time people get into their 30s and 40s, they become willing to abandon even the most basic concepts which they learned in middle school. So, is there something wrong in the way science is taught in our schools, and what is it?
I'll tell you a very interesting thing. Like in even in the +2 biology textbook, there is a chapter saying that like we used to have humor theories, and once William Harvey discovered blood circulation, immediately that theory is outdated and we don't have to use it anymore. And after this +2, people go and write the medical entrance examination. If they get a slightly less rank, what they have to do is go for Ayurveda or homeopathy or maybe any alternative pseudoscientific kind of medicine. And they, after learning from like in the +2, they learn that it is all out of the window. And again, when they go for Ayurveda or homeopathy, they have like if you are going for a homeopathy, you have to learn about the miasma theory, which was long discredited. They talk about Sora, syphilis, and psychosis, similar to Tridosha. And if you are going for Ayurveda, they will be teaching you Vada, Pitta, and Kapha. And there is no difference. It is the same human theory. Like, but if you are and the most interesting thing is that like they also have to learn modern physiology and anatomy, which doesn't go hand in hand with all these pseudoscientific things. So these students are actually very confused. They don't know what to look for in a human body. But see, what they claim is that like all these Ayurveda practitioners and homeopathy practitioners, they say that like we use modern techniques like any other modern medical practitioner, and so we are equally competent. And this is their argument. But if you do some kind of investigation and come up with a result, there is nothing you can see. Like you cannot just go and look at an X-ray and say that oh, there is so much of Vata, there is so much of Kapha, there is so much of Pitta. What you are going to see is just the internal elements that you study in your modern anatomy and physiology textbook. That is the case. But still, they don't understand. They will always use scientific jargons to confuse people. What they do is that they'll say all these molecules, when combined together, will have a synergistic effect, and this is going to work in a quantum realm, which modern science is not able to comprehend. And these are the kind of answers they come up with and say. And people are like more than happy to accept all these, and they will say that okay, Ayurveda is very scientific. Because they don't understand this, they will say that okay, it is very scientific. Even people who have learned science will say this. I've seen this so many times.
I wanted to ask you, since you are part of the Essence group and various other free thinkers group, I'm sure, is atheism also growing fast across India, or is it concentrated only in few pockets? What is your experience?
I think definitely atheism is growing, not the kind of old rationalist movement, especially like the kind of movement that after Richard Dawkins and all, like the neo atheism kind of thing is growing definitely. Like people know that science works. Like at least the young boys nowadays know that okay, there is something in science. They take science seriously, but they don't know how to be a skeptic. So what we are trying to do is that like just we are just connecting the dots. We are just telling them okay, this is science. Your mobile phone actually works because it employs certain scientific principles like that, and you know for sure that science works. But like we are just teaching them how to connect this same thing and using science to understand the rest of the world around you, and that is actually paying off. That is what I think. Like there is no point, like at least you can show that whatever scriptures you produce, like they are not infallible. There are a lot of like stupidities in all these, or you take any scripture and you can find like errors in those things, which we know for sure. Like there are so many things that we know for sure that this thing is the right thing, but at the same time when you look at the scriptures you can see hundreds of errors. And so it is easy to point to people and say that okay, these are the problems with this. Like why don't you try science? and find out like how it's working, and people become atheists much faster, like at least agnostic, really fast. And from there, like it takes a little bit of time for them to say, okay, like there is nothing. And that is why evolution, teaching evolution is very important. Once you teach evolution and how things evolved, and how did the process of evolution um, like tweaked your brain into believing in all these stupid things, that will come in really handy. And that's why like so many people are now turning into atheists. They don't, like, at least they were very shy like 5 or 6 years ago. Like what I observed was like people, even if they are atheists, they were really shy to say that, oh, I'm an atheist. Like it takes like some like bold effort to say that like I'm an atheist. But nowadays it has changed. Like people readily wear T-shirt which says that I'm an atheist and all, and they walk around no problem. At least in this part of the world, we don't have a problem. Like where I'm staying right now, we don't have a problem as such. Like people will stare at you, that's obvious, but not like what is happening in like UP or in some other place, like or even like when you consider other countries like in Iran or we don't have such a problem here. And so many people are like slowly turning into atheism. Yeah, I can see that.
It seems to me that rise of free thought and atheism is maximum in the state of Kerala in India today. So, is there something about the history of Kerala that can help explain this, or what do you think could be the reason for this?
Actually, I have not studied about how the numbers are affecting, and whether Kerala has got some kind of edge over all the other states. I have not studied.
Well, just to take an example, the recent Litmus event which
Yeah,
happened was the largest meetup, atheist meetup, not just in India, but probably worldwide.
exactly. Yeah.
Right. So there from those numbers alone, you can infer that atheism is growing fastest in Kerala compared to other states of India. So what is it about Kerala?
So I don't know, like whether Kerala has a better edge or not. Like anyway, it's growing because probably like because we are spending more time. Like all the free thinkers here are actually spending more time educating people than any other states in the world. That's what I think. Probably like everybody has to scale up their models, and we have to merge and do jobs like that. And we like basically because like it could have been much easier if pan India we had a single language. It would have been much easier like for us to communicate with these things. But everywhere it is very different. You see, even you take dialects of Hindi, that itself is very difficult. So sometimes like people, like when we talk with people, it's very hard for me to understand Hindi. Like even they claim to say that they are speaking Hindi, but it's very difficult for me to understand. In certain part of the like if somebody is from Delhi or from Maharashtra, I might understand. But if he is from UP or Odisha, it's very difficult for me to understand. So pan India, we don't have a single language to connect, and the only language we have is English, and even English is spoken in a different dialect all over these places. So it's very hard. But I don't know what is happening in Kerala. Anyway, I think we are going in the right direction, and anyway, there is some kind of change happening. Hope it continues.
So my last question to you is, what is your message for rationalists in India who would like to do more?
I don't know actually. Like what? Like I don't know whether I'm in a position to speak to people and say like give out a message and all. But what I think is like we have to keep doing what we are currently doing, and we have to scale up all the educational activities that we are currently doing. We have to educate the people continuously. Like it's a very tiring job. You won't be paid a penny for that. You have to waste so much of time. But still, if you want a better society, this is the only way we can like turn our society into a better society, so that like it's actually a selfish intention, so that we can also live in peace without fear of being like chopped off your head next day when you get out of your gate. So that is the most important thing. Like you have to consider educating your society continuously and tirelessly. You have to keep up the effort, so that like we have a better society, we can live in a peaceful way. And you have to spread the word of humanism. Like people think of atheists as somebody from ISIS, so we have to change that. That attitude should also be changed. We have to say that like we are like we uphold all these values much better than a religious person. And So these are the things that we have to communicate with people, and we have to come up with new ideas to get to each and like every part of the world, and at least every part of India, so that we can have a better democratic system as well. So that is, if it is a message, so that is my message to the society and all the rationalists out there.